This is Smithee.tv.
2, 1. Hey, folks, welcome back to Breaking Down the News. I'm Kenny Robinson. This week, my special guest is an old dear friend of mine, Jean-Paul, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Otherwise known as the Bagel Slim.
Yeah.
So, Island Hipster.
Yeah.
He got all the heritage broken down into his name. I used to go by the name of Manitoba Fats, but they used to get that confused with that and the girl I used to date from Winnipeg. So I'm little
Cedric
Manitoba
Newman.
Fats. She was the original Manitoba Fats. So anyway, Caribana just came and went.
Yes.
And this is the saddest year I've ever seen for Caribana. I've only attended it twice in my life. Because I don't like crowds. I don't like parades. I took my kids, I think, maybe twice to Santa Claus parades. I just don't do that type of thing.
I get you. There's people like that. And it can be.
And parking.
It's tough. It's hot. It's
hot.
like you get the full gamut of people. You get people who are just there to participate and spectate and have a good time. Then you get the people there who want to kind of join in, even though they haven't paid any money and they're like ridiculously drunk and have been drinking since like 7 that morning and took the subway down and they're just looking for a little booty to wind up
you get
on.
The ones that got all mudded the night before.
Yeah. So there's a full gamut of. I can understand why that's not a crowd you would necessarily want.
And I'm not really an ass shaker, so I look at strangers, winding on somebody, going, I don't. If I see a child doing that, those parents ought to be reported. I don't care. You call that cultural. I call that skank dancing. So. But this year, Caribana was extremely. I mean, without me even attending, I knew it was a flop.
Here's the weird thing.
Because I was driving in from Mississauga on the QE and the Gardner. In previous years, I'd come into Toronto at the same time, and floats were still just arriving at the finish.
Yeah.
And there were maybe a million, maybe 500,000 people to be seen.
Just lined up.
Cars parked on the Gardner
Grass
QEW like they didn't give a damn about the law. Brothers peeing on the bridge underneath it. Just all that good stuff.
You might have seen me a few times.
And this year, it was like, schooled out? I mean, it was like nothing. You could just feel
horrible.
driving through it that the energy or something had changed.
It's funny you say that too, because this is the first year that I actually went to the parade in about, I almost want to say about 5 or 6 years, because I actually fell out of love with it. Like, I mean, I fell in love with it when I was around 12, just because it was the first time, in my little, puberty going through stage, and the wind blow, my dick get hard. And it used to be on University. On University Avenue, and you'd start at the top of Bloor, and then you would come down, and it would go like underneath the bridge that emptied out
you got to
down
see
to
your
the
dad
Queens.
and your aunt drunk.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Well, I could do that at the house,
Yeah,
but I mean,
everybody was a big family.
it was
event.
different on a truck. But anywho, so that was always nice, and then the music, and it was a lot more controlled, and it felt festive. You know what I mean? There was no real bullshit. There was no real trouble. And what I always look forward to at the end of the parade was everyone would kind of spill out into the Queens Quay, and and that's where all the cars were parked, and the trunks would pop open, and families would have like coolers with drinks and juice and water, and they'd have like big pots that they cooked at home so you can eat and kind of sober up before you drove home just semi-drunk as opposed to completely obliterated.
Right.
Yeah. So
And then there was the island.
and then they moved it. Yeah, and then you go to the island, and then they moved it, and then eventually, I don't know how or why, but then they moved it to Lakeshore, and then they even cut the route down on Lakeshore. So I mean, I get it. It was
recently
nice.
or gradually.
Gradually. So then, but I was still kind of okay with the Lakeshore because you had the water on the one side.
Yeah, it was beautiful with the lake, yeah.
And the people, you'd see the people lined up along the side, which was kind of reminiscent of.
And it was exciting because
Yes.
I know being on that
And
Gardner
it was open.
QE, you see everybody
Yeah.
there having fun.
And you can hear the music.
Yeah.
And you can feel the vibe, and you can feel the energy and the sunshine. And it looked festive. And then I think the worst thing was to do was, and I think the whole financial.
It's always been a financial.
Yeah. So
abortion.
and I don't know anything about how it goes down or how it happens or why it happened or who misappropriated funds or who I don't want to say
shot John.
Yeah. So I don't know anything about it. So I don't want to make any claims to anything. But all I know is somebody or somebody's fucked up. and so now they
It's been a tradition of fuckers.
yeah, so they even cut more of the lakeshore route, and then on top of that, they're trying to funnel some of it through because they were trying to monetize it, and in trying to monetize it, it's like, all right, we'll put people in the stands, and people will pay to watch it, and they'll watch some of the people coming through the exhibition grounds, and then they'll lead back out onto the lakeshore.
Sure, right.
So then people started to complain who were playing in the bands that once we got out onto Lakeshore, that they call them stormers. So basically it's like people who crash a party. So the people who paid for costumes were trying to enjoy themselves in the costumes like they do in Trinidad or Jamaica for their carnival. Like the only security that you need is a rope in Trinidad and a bunch of big giant dudes holding the rope, and on the back, on their shirts,
Security.
it doesn't even say. It's even more specific than that. It actually says extraction team. So when they see you without a band on your wrist, they literally extract your ass from the band and toss you over the rope.
But so many people started to believe that it was their right just to jump into the parade.
And then it kind of ruined the vibe for everybody. So what they tried to do was control it. And the worst thing you can ever try to do is control Caribbean or island energy.
That been drinking all
yeah,
day.
and in doing that, you suppress it, and you kind of stifle, and you kind of kill the initial vibe. The whole vibe is being open and being able to roam and have a good time and look up and stuff like that, as opposed to look over to your left and look to your right, and there's these 12 feet fucking fences. I felt like I was watching a zoo parade. Like, here's a bunch of, people in costumes behind this fucking fence, and don't feed the fucking, Caribana monkeys. And I was like, what kind of bullshit is this? Like, this is I fed a few of them, but that's besides
even
the
before
point.
with the cops are always fun because they always wind up dancing with somebody.
Yeah, literally. So now I just think it's so controlled that they've sucked the energy, they sucked the life out of it, they've sucked the essence of what the parade is supposed to be out of it.
Do you blame the sponsorship in the banks? Or?
I blame a little bit of everybody. I blame people making demands, and because people need and want the money to make sure that the parade keeps going forward.
Like one
that
big
they
thing,
make
like bands would not get paid the money they were supposed to get paid, and that's
they need to make the concessions. But
Right.
I also think sometimes in negotiation, the beautiful thing about negotiation is being able to push back and fight for something. Some things you really have to fucking fight for, and some things you kind of gotta. Okay, cool. We'll cut it down. We'll cut through. We'll let people pay to spectate, but we need to be on the lakeshore and end on the lakeshore. Like, it literally was a merry-go-round, and the route was they went around in a circle twice.
And that was it.
They went around in a circle twice.
Because, like I said, traditionally it was like 6:30 and the last float still coming in.
Yeah. I used to be mad when you got to the end of the route and it was just a bunch of police with a big sign that says "Shut the music off," and then we'd be like, "What the ass is this? I dancing," and then you just. Well, then again, we didn't have like cell phones back then, so you couldn't like play your music and shit like that. But I just think you can't control and contain that kind of energy, and that is basically what's happening.
Dead? Is Caribana dead? Is it dying?
I think they're slowly killing it. I think it's slowly bleeding, and you know the deal. Unless you patch up a proper wound, you'll bleed out, and that's it. And everybody who used to come up for that kind of vibrant energy, you know what's going to end up happening? You know where the money's going to go to? Again, it all comes back to the after parties. So everybody who's putting out a Caribana after party, like after the parade or the days before the parade and shit like that,
there's nobody there for the after party.
people will come up for the parties. If you make the parties good enough, or you make the parties a decent enough alternative, because it's a long weekend. So if people are like, fuck it, I could go hang out, I could pay this kind of money and get bottle service, or I can go to an all-inclusive party where I pay this amount of money and I get to eat and drink for free, then you come up for that kind of euphoric sensation, and then you get the Caribbean experience.
But do you think you're still going to get the Americans coming up from Tennessee and from all over?
I don't know about all that far. I'm sure people will come up from like New York and New York City, and anywhere that has a predominant Caribbean community. So people from Miami will still come up. People from New York will still come up. Some people from Atlanta will still come. White girls from Sudbury will still come down every now and then because
they wait all year for it. Because the Caribana in Sudbury really is like three brothers. One named Omar, and they all got nice sweaters on.
And one's always really tired.
And they all got great jobs with Revenue Canada up here.
Benefits, bitches.
But that, like I read there was somebody's actually saying it might even make sense to move the parade route where the Indy is. Even that would be better for like having your people like sit there on the bleachers.
I think so.
watch through.
Because people want to see. People really do want to see. I had a conversation with a dude, again, as awkward
Is
as
it
it was.
the cover you
It
think
was,
there's
it was,
$20 cover this year? That was new.
yeah, that was new. See, it wasn't a big deal for me because I had 4 kids. Because my wifey's cousin was in town from like Seattle, and her kids had never even remotely seen any type of carnival or any kind of festivity or anything like that. So they had begged me to take the kids down. So for me, it wasn't a big deal. But I guess if I had been used to going for free
And then all of a
every
sudden you
year,
gotta pay
then all of a
$100 to
sudden
bring your kids.
you got $20 that you weren't even remotely expecting to pay to begin with, and you've got 4 people with you, and then I think kids were like $5 or $10 or some shit like that. So if
And
you've got
they
12
want
people with you,
roadie and they want
yeah,
something to
yeah,
drink
yeah,
and
yeah,
all
and that's
that
basically what happened. So. So I completely understand. I think whoever handled the communications of the PR dropped the ball on letting people know, hey, it's gonna cost you. But just the way they went about it, I had a conversation with a dude through a fence, and it felt really apartheidy, man. And I didn't enjoy that shit at all.
You were on the good side of the fence?
I was on the good side of the
on the
fence.
colored
I was
fence.
Khalid. I'm Khalid. He was a little too dark to be on my side of the fence. But he was there with his family, and they were in a lounge chair, and he's like, this is an awful feeling. Like,
It's almost tear-jerking.
he's like,
Tear-jerking,
he's like, it feels like a complete disconnect. You know what I mean? Like you can see and hear the music, but you can't. There's nothing tangible that you can kind of take from it, and I felt sad for him.
So what do you think the secret is to it? I mean, because for years, Caribana's been a thing. It would bring in more people than Pride. It would bring in more people than almost everything.
agree.
And yet hotels always made their money.
Yep. Still do.
The nightclubs made the money.
Still do.
After parties made the money.
Still do.
But the Caribana organization itself, the ones that make it happen, they were always at the end of the day, reaching in their pocket and coming up short.
I think they need to figure out somebody's who
That's what the bank was supposed to do
who can manage that. But again, for the bank, it then becomes the bank. I think also is not necessarily part of the problem, but they need to protect their name,
their brand.
They
yeah.
need to protect their brand, so they can't have any bullshit go down. You know what I mean? Even if somebody gets caught under some tires, it's like, oh well,
We're suing this bank.
Yeah,
because
we're gonna
they sponsored it.
we're gonna
They
have
didn't proper
to put
security.
fences around the tires so this doesn't happen. So it just gets ridiculous. We just live in that kind of society that one thing goes wrong and everybody,
Magnified.
and it just gets magnified to the point where you just shut everything down. Like, this is just fucking stupid now.
So basically, what you're saying is, if you really want to get that Caribana experience, they got to hook up with your father-in-law.
Thank you. Thank you. You can reach him at
It's always, the route
shakethatass.com.
The route goes up the street he lives on, into the garage,
Into the garage and out the other side.
where he's got the door open, and they can buy food and drink at the side of the garage,
Thank you.
right? And
Some roast corn soup, some patties from Mile to I'm about to shit myself. Those are the flavors that they got.
see, so don't get wrapped up in this new, this new corporated Caribana.
It's not even Caribana. It's a Scotiabank festival, Mardi Gras, Carnival. I don't even know.
You ought to be glad it isn't called the Scotian Caribbean Festival, because them Scotians would mess shit up terribly.
No, we're trying to eliminate the violence. That's what we're trying to do.
Well, no, actually, I get in trouble when I make fun of the Scotians. But do you remember there was a big Scotian party about 5 years ago, and it was down in Spadina, and like 96 shots were fired and nobody hit. That's how I knew it was Scotians. If it was a Jamaican, 96 shots, 96 people hit.
You don't have 96. You don't got 96 bullets.
But 96 Scotians, it's like, why'd you give him? That was my cousin. Then why'd you shoot? Because I'm mad at him. But, it wouldn't have hit him, So they would have thought, was this another police shooting? 96 shots, 4 of them hit the guy in the bus. But, so.
Those are the people we need at OVO Fest after parties. Scotians.
That's.
Nobody gets shot.
Nope.
But I just think they need to go back to old school. I think that it doesn't
Take it back to university?
That would be awesome if they did. I think if they took it back to university, it would be an amazing
And have
gesture.
Have it end where the condos are now, where the old sugar plantation used to be?
I think that shit would be great. I think the black people would just keep walking into the lake, and then that's
Then
how
the
it
problem
and
that
that's-
Toronto feels that they have with us would be done.
and then it would end.
Then there'd be nobody at the CVO at OVO to
Or
misbehave.
as an ode to slavery, they get onto a boat and they take them somewhere.
The Captain John.
But then they drop them off 400 years later.
400 years. Actually, I thought they were just as long as they don't start putting people on those planes from. Where's that country that keep losing their damn planes?
Oh, like not
Malaysia.
Thailand. Yeah, Malaysia.
Yeah.
Too soon.
Malaysia Airlines is like the slave ships of the airline world. You just go through that door of no return.
You go straight to the bottom of the plane. It's like this is.
Where did it go? We don't know. They've never been seen again. Well, they were sold onto that plane by their own people. We don't want to hear this shit. Anyway, folks, if you want to hear some more silly shit, check us out again. That's about all the time we have for breaking down the news. Thank you. Was this informative for you?
This was fun, man.
Yes.
I want to do this again.
We do this
Damn
every
it.
Monday, and we'll have John Paul back in the fall or winter when he doesn't have to show his armpits to the world.
Stop it.
And it's
A heat
hot.
wave outside.
I
Man.
know it is so. It's 31 degrees today.
Yes.
And it's got a wind chill factor of 39. They're gonna have to. They're even gonna allow the homeless to remain in the libraries today. That's how. That's how.
I put deodorant under my balls. That's how hot it is. 'Cause I was trying to
Deodorant's better than deodorant because you still get that
Gold
hair on
Bond?
there. You don't want to get that Gold Bond
Gold
in
Bond
a can.
powder?
They
In
got
a
it
can?
In a can, bro.
I just
Just lift that old scoochie loochie up and drop it, and you're good.
I could pretend I'm like a graffiti artist with my dick. That'd be awesome.
You can sit here, you just write all the initials of everybody that you ever loved. Anyway, folks, I'm sure that's more information than most of you needed to have. This is breaking down the news. Nowhere else can you get a discussion about the future of Caribana and get to watch John Paul mine powdering his nutsack. Anyway, I'm Kenny Robinson. You guys been great. Check us out again.
Holla at your boy.
JP.